Hi everyone, this is Matt from DrawingTutorialsOnline.com. Welcome to another sample video critique. Before we get to that critique, sketchbook videos. I know you guys on YouTube love sketchbook videos. I've got 3 of them on my iPhone. I am spreading them out throughout this summer. We're going to be putting out a new sketchbook video next week. In the meantime, what have we been up to? Well, we just launched a whole new portrait course at DrawingTutorialsOnline.com. It's got 6 parts. Each part comes with a video tutorial and a screencast tutorial, kind of reviewing everything for you guys. That's the drawing that we did for the portrait tutorial, and it comes with a wonderful, really cool PDF booklet that you can download and read along with the whole tutorial. Now, this critique coming up is really good for you if you are into drawing portraits, specifically realistic portraits. So check this out. If I was gonna say what constitutes the likeness, it's drawing the shadow shapes and the light shapes accurately. But then there's also the bigger versus the smaller, the macro versus the micro. So the macro would be the shape of the head versus the shape of the hair. The micro would be the shadow shapes within the shape of the head. So if I'm working on this piece, where I would start, and I would not move until I got this correct, is I would start with this angle, I would do my very best to get that forehead, because that forehead is the precursor to everything. So now I have a couple of options. My next step would be to get either this angle, the edge of the face, this angle, and that angle, and establish a bottom to the face. So now immediately I have the length of the forehead to compare to this length. And if I can compare those two, that's a starting point. Now what I do next is I start to think about the overall side of the head, and there's a side and the front. And the reason why I came down with this line is because in portraits that's a common line where the forehead touches the side of the head. So then I would come down here, here, and that now I have established the front and I've established the side. I've established the light and the shadow. So now I have these shapes. Now the next thing that I would do is I would start to get these eye socket shadow shapes. And you look at those shadow shapes and you start to measure distances, like from here to here. Very, very, very important that you start to measure those distances. So now I could keep going. So the next step probably for me would be to get the center of the eye, get the model looking in the right direction. I don't have to go to the nose and the lips yet, because the nose and the lips are going to be housed within that front plane light shape. And so that's easy, because that's just a matter, it's not easy, but in terms of your process, it's easy. In terms of your eye-hand coordination and drawing that accurately, that's a whole nother can of worms. But let's just now do a comparison. So when I look at your piece and I try to think about an eye socket shape, or at least just a shadow shape representing that, that's the shadow shape that I see. And it's completely a different shape. So unless that shape is accurate and represents that shape, you'll never achieve the likeness. Now, let's draw this. This one is 1,000 times better. That is the basic primitive shape that I see with that, and you are much better there. You're seeing things in a much better way. Now, in fairness to you, one could argue that that's the shadow shape and this little dot area is the cast shadow. But I don't want to get into the weeds. I just want to block in, so to speak, big basic shapes right now. So in this particular case, it's now going to be about the shape of the hair versus the shape of the face. So the shape of the hair is going to be represented as that book, and you actually did a really good job. But if we're going to look for the hair, I would say that that is going to be the shape of the hair. Okay, so let's just talk about your drawing first and foremost, and then we'll go back. So what is very nice about your piece is that you are working from phenomenal reference. You are putting in good shapes. You have a pretty good drawing right here. So how can you very quickly push this drawing up to the next level? Simply put, you could be more solid with your shadows. So come on in here now with your pencil and make the skin in the shadow more of a middle tone. This should be very dark. And then this should all be in shadow, the inside of the book. If you can just start to do that, that would go such a long way to help to improve your drawing. Then just let's get this accurate eye socket shape. The whites of the eyes are really catching a lot of light. And then you start to do things like the nose and the lips and all that jazz. But it starts with that first, okay? It starts with making your darks, making your shadows look like they're shadows, and making your lights clean. You do have clean lights. Now, of course, there is this reflected light hitting her jaw. Just don't get too enamored with that. Put that in its proper place and make sure that's a shadow so you don't lose the structure of the head. Okay? All right. Good job.